Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the New Black Media Podcast, where we speak the truth and nothing but the truth. Before we begin, let's cite the fair use disclaimer. We're under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allows us fair use for the purposes of criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. And with that, today's podcast is about Dave Chappelle, who may face a civil suit after being attacked on stage. While the man accused of charging at Dave Chappelle during a live performance on Tuesday night appears to have escaped felony charges, Chappelle himself may be facing civil liabilities over his attacker's injuries, a legal analyst said Thursday. So before I get into that story, let me go down into this and read to you why these felony charges aren't going to be filed. It says felony charges will not be filed against Lee for the assault, Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gaskin's office announced Thursday. Gaskin's office has referred the case to the city attorney's office, which filed 4 misdemeanor charges against Lee. Misdemeanor charges carry a maximum jail sentence of 1 year in California. Trestles was surprised the DA's office declined to pursue the case. Quote, given the fact that this is a high-profile case and that Mr. Lee did assault Dave Chappelle with a weapon, it is surprising that the district attorney's office has declined to file charges and referred this case to the Los Angeles City Attorney's Office, Tressel said. The Los Angeles Police Department said that when Lee rushed on stage, he had what appeared to be a handgun in his hand, but it turned out to be a replica that contained a blade. Now let me state for the record, folks, any type of weapon that resembles a gun is treated as such. Ask any robber, ask any burglar, ask any thief, ask any criminal that if you use something that other people believe to be a gun, they will charge you with that. All right, so sources later told the Los Angeles Times, however, that Lee did not brandish the weapon, but it was found inside the bag he was carrying. So I say that when I saw Isaiah Lee enter that stage and run and tackle Dave Chappelle, I thought he was trying to commit an attempted murder charge. That's what I thought. I thought this guy, Isaiah Lee, should be charged with aggravated assault because if he had a weapon on him, whether he brandished it or not, his intent seems obvious. Anyone with common sense knows this. Anyone with a brain would come up with that conclusion. But any time a case is involving a black man, especially, this system of injustice based on what color you are always rears its ugly head and shows its inconsistencies and shows its lack of common sense, decency, integrity, and plain justice. Yes, what we see instead is a system based on injustice. And so, lo and behold, you have a criminal who somehow made it into the Hollywood Bowl, somehow made it past the security, and attempted to harm Dave Chappelle, a black man. And the LA County District Attorney, this George Gascon, has the damn nerve to not charge this criminal who attempted to harm Dave Chappelle. The LA County District Attorney George Gascon's office, as shameful as it is, failed to charge this man with a felony charge. Why is that? Because, see, this racial system of injustice based on the content of one's color, definitely not the content of a person's character, as they often repeat using Martin Luther King's worn out, overused, quoted lines. No, they never judge by the content of our character. It's always by the content of the color of our skin. So, with that, we're going to now go into why it is that they chose to do this. Well, this legal analyst, and I'm going to read what this legal analyst had to say. Her name is Allison Tressel. She says, believe it or not, Dave Chappelle and his team may be facing some civil liabilities when all the dust settles. Quote, if the threat was over and he, meaning Isaiah Lee, was no longer a danger and had been restrained, they cannot take revenge on Mr. Lee, Tressel said. Well, legal analyst, number one, you're assuming that they took revenge on Mr. Lee. To me, it appeared that Mr. Lee was uncontrollable, possibly on some drugs, and they were trying to restrain him. If anything, you should be using the same talking points you guys always use. Mr. Lee simply was not complying with the security on the backstage of the Hollywood Bowl where Dave Chappelle was performing. See, you racists always love to change your talking points around to fit your narrative. That's not how we do here at the New Black Media. No, we expose the truth for what it is. So, I digress. No, it says TMZ has released video where Chappelle can be heard talking about his attacker's injuries and appears to be happy about the outcome. Quote, I felt good my friends broke his arm, unquote, Chappelle is heard saying in the video. Well, those words could cost Chappelle if a civil suit is filed. Quote, it is very possible that Dave Chappelle's own words, where he says that he roughed the guy up, can be used against him in a potential civil manner down the line, Tressel said. Now, I want to pause for a second. Do you know that these white supremacists that come up with these narratives like this, that they set the stage for this to happen, especially against black people? That's why they put this in the media like this, telling you all the reasons why they can do it, instead of using the common sense and saying, no, this was wrong from the gate. This criminal somehow made it inside of the Hollywood Bowl with a weapon, and he tried to either kill, murder, or seriously harm Dave Chappelle. Instead of coming up with the most common sense and logical aspect, and then the judge dismissing any type of charges against Dave Chappelle and his folks, you idiots will turn this around, make it a racial component to this, make a kangaroo court case out of it, showing how your injustice system simply is just broken, and you'll play it to the hilt. And we see this all the time, and you're not fooling anyone but yourselves. So I'm going to end this off by saying that it says that the Hollywood Bowl may not be off the hook either. Despite confiscating patrons' cell phones ahead of the show, the security team somehow missed a replica gun that contained a knife blade, which is true. It says that the Hollywood Bowl or the promoters involved in this show, including Netflix, may be facing civil liability for their lapse of security. Something went wrong, very wrong here, Tressel is heard saying. That legal analyst finally got something right. Well, folks, you tell me what you think. I'm going to end this podcast off, but it's very disturbing and unfortunate. Thanks a lot for tuning in to the New Black Media, where we speak the truth and nothing but the truth. We'll see you in the next podcast. I'm out.